Hi friends, how are you? Today we will start a new topic, and this topic will be related to your methicillin resistant Staph aureus. In this topic, what we are going to read, we will read the different type of drug resistant in Staphylococcus aureus. Then what is your MRSA, methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus? Then what are the types of MRSA? Then what is the treatment of MRSA and what is the treatment of MSSA, methicillin sensitive Staphylococcus aureus. So we will discuss all these steps in today's lecture. So before jumping into the topic, I need to tell you about the different resistance in drug resistance in Staphylococcus aureus. So the most common drug resistant in Staphylococcus aureus is beta lactamase production. Okay, penicillinase production. So what does this mean? This will break the wall of beta lactam drugs. The most common beta lactam drug which is being used in the clinical practice is your ampicillin, amoxicillin, ceftriaxone. Okay, they will make them resistant. Okay, so how this resistance take place? It is through your transduction mechanism, and they are plasma coded. Okay, most important thing you need to understand, this is your ionizate PYQ. Okay, so mostly the drug resistance is through conjugation, but in Staphylococcus aureus, beta lactamase resistance is due to your transduction. Okay, then how you will overcome this beta lactamase production? So you can add what? You can add like beta lactamase inhibitor like clavulanic acid, sulbactam. Okay, these kind of stuff you can use. Now the second, which is not much common in Staphylococcus aureus, but they are very lethal. This is your methicillin resistance Staphylococcus aureus, which we call it as a MRSA. In this, the Staphylococcus aureus is resistant to methicillin. Okay, so how this Staphylococcus aureus shows resistant to methicillin is through a gene named MECA. Okay, what this gene do? Okay, they just alter the protein binding penicillin PBP into PBP2A. So your cell wall, okay, of the bacteria will become less sensitive to your beta lactam drugs. So that's why MRSA is resistant to your all beta lactam like ceftriaxone, like your amoxicillin, ampicillin, etc. Okay, so now we will discuss the different types of MRSA. MRSA, the gene coded for MRSA is a MECA gene. So MECA type 456 belongs to your community acquired MRSA, and MECA 123 belongs to your hospital acquired MRSA. Okay. Now, if we talk about the virulence between these two type of MRSA, the most virulent will be your community acquired MRSA and less virulent will be your hospital acquired MRSA. So why they are more virulent? Because they have Panton Valentine toxin, PVL toxin. They are mostly associated with the kids. Whenever you are in your pediatric OPD, there you can see kids having lesions, bulla formation in the skin. Mostly this could be due to your PVL toxin. Okay, then second is the infection, what they cause. The community acquired MRSA will cause your skin and soft tissue infections, and it could lead to your necrotizing fasciitis. Then the hospital acquired is like mostly they are nosocomial infection, means they you can get this infection through hospital. Okay, they will cause the wound infection, surgical site infection and all. So the transmission for your community acquired MRSA will be community during sports. If you're playing sports, then hand contact could be there. This could lead to the infection transfer. Then if you are living in a crowded areas, then this infection can transfer easily. And if you talk about the hospital acquired infection, then the hospital staff are the major carriers. Then how we can detect this MRSA, methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus? So for detection of this MRSA, we usually use one disc in our AST plate, and the disc is cefoxitin. This we call it as a surrogate marker. We are not using methicillin because methicillin as a disc, they are not stable. That's why we are using cefoxitin as a surrogate marker. If cefoxitin disc is sensitive, if the organism is sensitive to cefoxitin disc, then this is methicillin sensitive Staphylococcus aureus. If the cefoxitin disc is resistant, then it is methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus. So the detection you can do with this with the help of AST plates. Okay. Then you can use the PCR also. You can find the PBP2A gene. Okay. Then you can do the latex agglutination. Okay. And then you can use oxacillin disc also. But mostly we are using cefoxitin disc. Then now the treatment. Before going to the treatment of MRSA, we need to understand the treatment of MSSA. Whenever you are getting in the culture, you are getting the result that this infection belongs to Staphylococcus aureus. Okay, whether it is the wound abscess, whether it is a pus, and you are getting this is Staphylococcus aureus through the lab report, then you have to find out whether it is Staphylococcus aureus sensitive to methicillin or Staphylococcus aureus resistant to methicillin, because the line of the treatment is completely different. Okay, so if it is MSSA, then the treatment of choice is your beta lactam, and that is penicillinase producing beta lactam. Okay, and they are cloxacillin, nafcillin. Okay, then you cannot use vancomycin, because if the isolate is MSSA, vancomycin is not effective. The other drug you can use will be a first generation cephalosporin, second generation cephalosporins. Okay, mostly the treatment of choice is cloxacillin, dicloxacillin. This was your PYQ previous year NIT PG question. Okay, then the treatment of MRSA, our last topic. So the treatment of MRSA is what? The first line drug for treatment of MRSA, we call them as a vancomycin. Okay, this is IV. We mostly use them in the form of IV. Okay, so this is the treatment of choice. Now the alternatives for the treatment will be your linezolid mostly, teicoplanin, daptomycin, telavancin. These are your alternative. So if you have a mild skin and soft tissue infection, you can also use clindamycin as the alternative. Then most of your beta lactams are resistant to your MRSA, including your cephalosporins. First generation, second generation, third and fourth. But there are certain drugs, the fifth generation cephalosporin, which are sensitive to this MRSA, and these are the last resort like ceftobiprole. Okay,